So you might have a company, think about a practice, your local doctor practice. And you go to the doctor, you have hopefully some form of an insurance or you have Medicare or Medicaid. And the doctor does the procedure that they do, and then they need to invoice, most likely either yourself directly if you don't have any coverage, or the insurance company. So in order to process the insurance company, they need to describe what they've done, or the procedure that they've done to you. And each insurance company and sometimes each plan have their own codes for each element of the procedure that they've done for you.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Grow IT podcast. One of your hosts here, Trey King. And today we are very excited to have our guest, Mr. Ido Adler from Binomical. And today we'll be diving into his story a bit, as well as what it is his company does, and then some engaging insights, as always, into the technology industry. So make sure to stick around for this one. But without further ado, Ido, welcome. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Ido, if you don't mind, if we can kick things off, if you can please just introduce yourself and, tell us a quick story or two, a bit about your background.
Absolutely. So I've started my journey probably without disclosing my age, probably about 30 years ago. I started from options trading, so puts and calls, and I was kind of a broker. Later on, I moved into the building industry. So I used to do fit out and basically set up offices from empty shell, as well as restaurants and so forth. Then I made my switch into the IT side. I did a couple of very kind of, I would say, transitionary courses on the network side and infrastructure side, A+, Network Plus, and got into IT. I started my journey at contracting for Compaq, and then contracting before they were acquired by HP. Later on, working for Unisys. And then moved to SAP. They offered me a very interesting job there. So I felt that I had enough of the infrastructure side, wanted to move into more the business application slash business processes side. So SAP gave me the opportunity to do that. I stayed there for about 13 years. I actually moved in between from Australia, where they hired me, into the US as part of some offer that I had, an opportunity. And I stayed there for about 13 years, doing different roles, ending up as a vice president there for premium services. And then I moved to AWS because cloud became very, very big. And I felt that although SAP was moving towards the cloud space, they were probably a little bit behind. So AWS was kind enough to allow me in. And I spent a couple of years there getting to know the cloud, which led me to go to Google as a subsequent position. I stayed in Google for another 2 years, and at Google really got very much exposed to the AI, which became a very big deal and still is a big deal, and probably for years to come. And after 2 years at Google, I decided that maybe I should try something on my own. So I started Binomical. And really, the niche or the part of the market that I felt were compelling for me to get into were all around AI and automation. So I believe that at that time and now as well, AI is being seen more as an augmentation of capability of humans as opposed to replacement. And I think there are multiple dimensions to that, one of which is we don't want to scare people away from moving into the AI space. But if you really consider the capability, the evolving capability of AI, we are going to, I believe, get to the point that a lot of the work, the traditional work that are being done now by humans are going to be done by AI, and you will need a much smaller group of humans to do to achieve the same productivity, and probably with higher level of accuracy and quality and more consistently. So that's what kind of caused me to focus on the automation and AI, not only kind of augmenting humans, but really replacing and what humans are doing day to day, and eventually allow for exception-based management by human, everything else being done by AI. And that's kind of what my company is specializing in.
Specializes in. We'll dive into that a bit deeper a bit later. But can I just first say that you've got a very interesting background.
Thank you.
There's a lot of specialists coming on the podcast, and they went straight out of school, right? Straight through from the IT sector, and build it up. I mean, you've been in different sectors and, well, specifically even in IT in the different verticals, right? So I must say, quite profound background you got there.
Thank you. Thank you. I was fortunate enough to also touch a lot of industry verticals. And because I'm just a naturally curious, it allowed me to really understand the business processes and the differences between industries. So absolutely, I was very fortunate, and most of it is I'm very thankful to SAP for giving me that opportunity.
Yeah, I've just like noticed, it's you always kept up with the technology and the times, right? Evolving your craft and your business into obviously what you've built now. Uh, Having said that, tell me, based on your expertise, what would you say are like the current market trends that you are aware of now, obviously in your business, in the industry that you're in, what way is the wind blowing? What are you noticing?
So there is almost a conflicting trend. If you look at the big four kind of IT service providers, you're talking about the Accentures, the Deloitte, the EY, Infosys, Wipro, and so forth. So beyond the big four, but kind of the top tier ones, you will notice that they have kind of two types of businesses that the AI kind of put them into a spiral of kind of unknown. And what I mean by that, there is a large portion of those businesses that are focused on business process outsourcing. So you have teams of people in India, the Philippines, Latin America, and so forth that are basically doing repeatable work. And those business process outsourcing were actually sold in a significant business for those large IT mammoths. And in the same time, you have this trend of automation that goes through the IT space. So you almost have a cannibalization fight that is going on because from one perspective, they want to maintain and grow their business process outsourcing. And from the other side, they want to automate because that's where the industry is going. And they're kind of a conundrum, because they can get a short-time revenue by doing implementation with AI, but then they're losing this massive amount of revenue on the other side, and there are shareholders and executives that's becoming a very high priority for them.
That's
So
a
I
good
suspect
point.
that this conflict to some degree is making it more difficult for those big players to kind of move aggressively into that automation market.
Yeah, that's such an interesting take on it. I fully agree with you. It's and in retrospect, a lot of people are very optimistic about it, and a lot of people are actually, lack of a better word, risk adverse, right, towards it, and then cautiously optimistic, and a lot of people are concerned about they're going to lose their jobs, and so it's and I mean the technology is evolving. It feels like to me like every month it's just evolving, from our perspective. The I think this might be a good time, if you don't mind, just to explain to the listeners. You've mentioned a couple of things already, but what is it like exactly what your company does?
Yes, so if you think about it, I'll give you an example. So you might have a company that think about a practice, your local doctor practice,
Right.
and you go to the doctor. You have hopefully some form of an insurance, or you have Medicare or Medicaid, and the doctor does the procedure that they do, and then they need to invoice, most likely either yourself directly if you don't have any coverage, or the insurance company. So in order to process the insurance company, they need to describe what they've done, the procedure that they've done to you. And each insurance company and sometimes each plan have their own codes for each element of the procedure that they've done for you. So for
Right.
example, you did a root canal. So for root canal, they put anesthesia. They did maybe some kind of a surgery. They did some. They clean up the place. They put some antibiotics there to make sure that you are not going to get any inflammation and so forth. So those are three procedures in one. So now they basically need to record it and match it to your specific insurance based on your insurance code. So guess what? Today they have to send it to another company. They pay them, I don't know, a certain percentage or fixed fee. And that company probably is located overseas. And then you have a bunch of people that look at your insurance, they look at the rate cards, at the codes, and basically type it out and issue an invoice to the insurer. And whatever is left, they potentially copay issuing to you. So this entire process is a manual process. And with the progress of AI, with the innovation that are happening, as you mentioned, day in, day out, this can be fully automated now. You can basically have the AI kind of load in the codes of the insurance and match automatically the description, even just a human language description of root canal. It will know that root canal actually it includes in it those three actions, and basically issue the invoice without any human interaction. So that's the type of things that we will do.
So, for example, if I understand correctly, so that's like going directly from the practice to the insurer.
Exactly.
Right?
You're moving the
which comes down to more profit. if I'm thinking
more profit. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But think about those, 50, 500, 5,000, 50,000 people in India or Philippines or Latin America that suddenly today they used to sell them and now they don't have a job. So there is a massive implication. It's almost the world turned upside down. The cheap labor, are probably going to be the first to get
the first one to take the knock, right?
Yeah. So the advantage of the countries like China and India and so forth, at least maybe less so India these days, but it's still like that. They're much cheaper than us from resources perspective. You're talking about a ratio of about 1 to 5, 1 to 3, which cost reduction. But with technology, we can actually get to much lower cost than they have, and that is a problem. That is a problem for them. Now, this is the first wave. The second wave is the wave that we are talking about, the lawyers, the doctors, because you can actually find details using AI queries, which makes all the paralegals and research assistants not required almost. So if you have a large enough database and you do of all the historical case law as well as regulation, the AI can potentially identify without hallucination, or that's improving a lot, and basically create those matches. So you're talking now from a situation that where you had kind of the very low cost people to a very high cost people that are also going to be replaced by AI. Now, it doesn't mean that you are going to work completely without humans, but it does mean that you will not need 5, you may need 1, or you may need 2 to achieve. So I don't think that the salaries as such are going to be impacted, because to your point, the margin is going to be improved. But I do think that the total number of available positions is going to be reduced for sure.
Reduced. I listened to actually another podcast the other day where they mentioned that it's going to be the people that implements and manages these AI bots or create them. That's where the next boom is going to be, is to be able to those people who create them, right? As to and like you mentioned, now I agree with you that there's going to be the job positions will still be there. There will just be less of that specific job's position. And it's definitely changing. I had someone on the other day that's in with placement nearshoring, but with placements of a recruitment company, and they said how they immediately, because that's actually where one can firsthand experience it, is how recruiters, how many less positions that they are employed for, to get obviously talent. And that's was one of like the sparks that went on where I could see, geez, this is real, and it's definitely, it's happening. The you've mentioned a lot of things about your company from a value standpoint. Well, a lot that I've already picked up, but just like out of your own words, what would you say is like the most significant value that your business brings to the table to other businesses?
So one of the things that we pride ourselves on is to become solution agnostic, because, as you mentioned, the advancements are very, very rapid. It's almost like a horse race, you know. So at one point in time, you have Google ahead, and another point in time, you have Anthropic. Another one is the OpenAI, and so forth. And what it basically means is that you need to all the time keep on top and don't have any loyalty for one solution, because it might be that for a specific use case, a certain technology is going to provide better results than the other. So I think that the ability for us to be kind of partner independent or solution independent allows us more flexibility and really focus on what the customer needs and what their needs are, and what's the requirements, and what is going to actually make the most sense for their specific scenario, where a lot of other companies, for valid reasons, are focusing on specific technology because there is this element of funding. You know, so if you are providing a solution, for example, Google Cloud or AWS, then AWS and Google Cloud are going to give you some kind of investment in order for you to work with their technologies and encourage you to work and provide some kind of funding available, which they later obviously going to transform into subscription type revenue. In our case, we do not get that benefit, but in the same time, we are becoming agnostic, so we can really be customer focused and solution agnostic, and I think that's a differentiation for us.
Yeah, that's good value. Definitely, that's quite profound. I would like your take on, if we can maybe just step back and look at business in general. What would you say are, or what do you see as the most significant attributes or mindset that is required to be a successful founder of a company?
So I think grit is definitely important. You definitely need to make sure that you continue on and persist. It's a little bit similar to a good salesperson. You know, a salesperson, it's almost a numbers game. At the end of the day, you need to be persistent. You have to have a thick skin, and you have to continue striving to establish new relationships, to foster and improve those relationships. And it's not easy because you only get half the picture of what the person in front of you has. They have their own priorities, they have their own life. Things are sometimes going very well for them, sometimes they are not going very well for them, and you don't know that because you see the very limited length of your engagement with them. So when you are getting a response, it's important to take the response with a grain of salt, because you don't have the full picture. It might be that no is going to change into yes. Unfortunately, sometimes yes change into no. So you need to be able to kind of clear up the elements that are not relevant, and basically have your own path and continue on that path. And obviously, keep it professional. Make sure that you're very aware of what the customer is actually telling you. Sometimes people just don't have time for you, and sending another email, sending another text is going to be counterproductive. So you need to make sure that you are listening, but in the same time, you have to make sure that you keep move forward and push yourself forward, because grit is very, very important in any new business and any old business, but definitely when you are a founder of a new company.
Founder of company. Well, Ido, I need to thank you for coming on. You provided such good insights. I can fully understand, especially out of the value points that you mentioned earlier, I can fully understand why your business is so successful. And I'm sure there's a lot of people making notes out of this podcast. Thanks for coming on. Before I let you go, tell me, where can the listeners, where can they get hold of you guys?
So we have a website, obviously. So it's www.binomical.com. We also have a side startup business that we may have a different session for, which is really talking about the gig economy, and that's kind of where we're driving. But binomical.com is probably the best way to find us and get more information. and get in touch.
Excellent. Well, I truly hope I can get you on again, especially with the new ventures coming. So, well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, and all the best to you and your business. And thanks for hopping on. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Talk to you soon.